Right. Do want to thank everyone for making time for your agenda meeting management. Today we are doing agenda creation training. For those of you who haven't met with me yet, my name is Michael. I have been the consultant on this project thus far. So today's goals are essentially going to be three things. I want us to learn how to create events, which essentially are just meetings, right, that are published to the public. That consist of what date, time, location, things of that nature. So that's an event. I also want to review how to create an agenda. And then I want to show us how to link those agendas to events so we can publish them, right? So we have those documents published to the event so the community can access that, right? So to get started, once you log in, you'll come to this dashboard area. And we're always going to start in this upper right-hand corner in this gold circle with your initials, right? It's the user menu. Here, basically there are preferences, right? And basically this preference area, the only thing I want you to focus on is this middle sentence, okay? And in this middle sentence, towards the end, uh, this cursor turns into a clickable hand and basically gives you the ability to come to an area to update your first name, last name, and your password. Uh, Next, we're going to go over notifications. So agenda managers do have control over what notifications are sent out and who has the ability to choose whether they want to receive those. So here, the ones that aren't grayed out are the ones that have been granted the ability at this point, of course, to receive or not receive these alerts. So whenever you have a chance, it'll be good to peruse this list and see what notifications you're interested in receiving and clicking those and then saving those changes. Lastly, we have approvers. So if you are an approver and you want to set someone else to approve on your behalf, this is a great place to do that, right? You would come here, select the name, and here you would choose a duration, right? So you could choose if you want that person to approve on your behalf ad infinitum, or it could be for a certain extent of time, right? This date range gives you the ability to put the time range. Let's say you're going on vacation for a week or so. You could have them temporarily be your approver, and then after this date, promptly they would drop off. Any questions behind updating your password using this link, setting up alerts within your site, or setting up a backup approver? All right, good deal. Move forward. All right, so when you first log in, you have a dashboard that displays different information contingent upon how you set it up. So
Michael,
this show button, yes.
I'm so sorry I could not get myself on mute. Hello.
Yeah,
I do have a question about approving.
do it.
Can you explain to me why we would have an approver in our profile, a
Yes,
backup approver?
of course. So there are various scenarios, but one primarily is when you know you're going to be out of office. However, you
Mm,
don't want to impede the an item from being viewed throughout the sequence of people who need to see it.
mm.
So perhaps you can have someone look over it and approve it if you're out of office, which wouldn't prevent someone else from seeing it as well. Because it is a sequential process.
Okay, thank you. Apologies.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I encourage it. All right. So here we have show is just asking me, hey, what do I want to see? So me personally, I always have all three of these showing, that being items. Of course, these are items on the agenda. Approvals may be an item that's pending my viewing it so I can take action on it. And tasks, which I'll delve deeper into during item creation training, but basically just giving me the ability to see what I want on my dashboard. So if I click this is going to determine what I see on my dashboard whenever I log in. All right. I'm going to delve deeper into this during item creation training, but just as a preliminary exposure to it, I want you to know how you can set up what you can see so you can receive notifications and be aware as to what's waiting on you. But we're going to go straight to the meetings tab, right? And then I wish it was called agendas, but it's called meetings. So here, we're going to go ahead and click this upper right-hand corner button called new agenda. We're going to create an agenda and we're going to call it test 123. This name is not public facing. This is a reference name, more of a file name, if I may. Okay. So you can name this whatever you want. Agenda type. This refers to the board type or the meeting type. You'll hear me use those words interchangeably. They are congruent. Just meaning, okay, what agenda are you trying to create here, right? So we'll just choose one at random and cut off date and cut off time. So these refer to a date and time that a standard user will no longer have access to the agenda, right? And we prevent them from having access as a safeguard to agenda managers, giving them the ability to hunker down, review the items that have been submitted thus far, and ensure those are ready to be published. It can be changed at any time by an agenda manager if an item needs to be added by a user, or you can simply do it for them. When you create an agenda, inherently it's going to create an event. So you have two options. One, you can create an event separately and then link it using existing event, right? So if I created an event externally, it would give me the ability to use this drop down and link this agenda to that event once I created the agenda. So by default, it's going to create an event, but you get to choose whether it's going to be a new one-time event that's going to be created simultaneously with this agenda, or I can simply link it to an event I've already created, but we haven't created any yet. So there aren't any to choose from. So right now we're going to create a new one-time event. All right. So this is just basically a meeting, kind of like a house, right? Think of the event being a house, and then this agenda is the person, right? So we want to put the person in the house. And what we're doing is once we link it, it's like giving the person a key, proverbially, giving you access to be published. However, you still have to be deliberately welcomed into the house. So publishing is a deliberate act. So it's never going to automatically publish. So right now we're creating the agenda, and simultaneously right now we're going to create that event. So here I have event name. I'm going to call it test123, so we can reference it as well. And I'm going to select the category. I'm going to select test as a category. So now we're going to create an agenda named test123. This is the board type that I've selected. I'm going to choose a new one-time event. So in the events tab, a separate event is going to be created, right? And automatically it's going to link this agenda to that event, meaning I have the ability to publish this agenda to that event. However, it's not going to do it automatically. It is a deliberate manual process that we will walk through together today. Okay. Up to this point, is there anything that is unclear what we're about to do? No? I'm going to create this agenda. Once we create the agenda, I'm going to back out, right? I just want to create the agenda, and then I want to create that event simultaneously. So now we're going to go to a different tab called events, which I wish was called meetings, but I'm not going to complain in front of you, right? So here we have each card, which represents a different event, okay? So we have this test123 event that's been created. This is the one I created simultaneously with that agenda I just created. It has that name I gave it, and then there's that category I chose for it, okay? Some of the information on here, right? Keep in mind, this is all public facing. This is the event card. So they see this name, they will see this category, and this date and time correspond when the meeting is going to occur, right? Directly below that, it says publish. So it's telling me right now, this event is published to the portal. So if I went to the public portal right now, I would be able to see this, right? However, this agenda having a check adjacent to it does not mean the agenda is published. It means it's linked to that event. So because I created that agenda and had a new one-time event created simultaneously, now that agenda is linked to the event, okay? But it's not published to the portal. Only the event itself is published to the portal, right? Here we have media. So if you ever want to if you're live streaming, if you're not using CivicPlus media, if you live stream externally, or you want to put a recording of some sort, perhaps on YouTube or Facebook, you could extract that URL and place that here. And I'll show you where to put it later on. And then you'd be able to have people watch the live stream of the meeting or access that recording within this event. So here, pretty straightforward, a trash can icon. We know that's just delete. So it's deleting the event individually, right? Getting rid of only this event. So there are a few filtering options for events, right? So if we come to the show button, well, and then click this drop down, I can show basically by time slots, or I can do all events, right? If I click all events, it's going to pull up all the events that have been created thus far. You'll see a preponderance of one-time events. All of these have been created as I was testing the agenda, okay? So that's why you see the link to agendas, because I created a lot of new one-time events, and these were inadvertent, right? I didn't plan to flesh them out by any means. These were just created as I was testing agendas. That's why there's so many of them, right? So this is the card view. The alternate view is the list view, right? I'm a plain Jane kind of guy. I just like my things straight. So me, I like the list view better. And I see a myriad of events in this area because they're listed rather than showing design cards, right? It's the same information, it's presented differently, okay? So here are that list of one-time events. And if I want to delete these in mass, what I could do is this gray header gives me a select button, right? So I can come in and decide which events do I want to remove, right? In bulk, rather than taking my time to laboriously do it one at a time. Okay. So that's one benefit. Another benefit is I can remove these from the portal. So right now, if I go to the public portal in this user menu and go to public portal, I'll see each of these events that are published for me. So each of these one-time events are all here, right? So if I want to remove these, I can just unpublish them right now, right? And keep in mind, they're in the system. I'm just unpublishing them so the public won't see it. And there are a plethora of these. I did not intend for all of these to be here, but we're invested, right? Stop. Persistence wins the race. Let's keep going. Huh? Okay. There's more. We're not going to stop. Oh, we're around the corner. We're almost there. I think we need this one, though. All right, cool. So we refresh this. And now all we have is that event we created simultaneously with the agenda. Okay. So before I move forward, any questions about the information on these cards? Any information unclear about these filtering options or the views in order to see these events? Just so you notice, there's now an X adjacent to these cards because I did unpublish them from the portal.
Makes sense.
All right. Christina, are you gonna ask me a question? I see you unmuted. Confirm I'm not.
No.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've done that, we can go ahead and create an event, right? So now we're gonna go to new event, and this is how we create an event externally. So doing it this way, you can create an event and thereafter go into the agenda and link it, right? So this time we're gonna go ahead and click this new event button, and now we have these fields, event template. So these are templates that have been created in a different area, and we can pull in information to save time. So let's just choose this first city council business meeting. And what it does is it pulls in, first of all, the name. This is public facing, so they will see this. And then notice this is a subtle excerpt you can put below the name to kind of give extra context behind an offset occurrence. Let's say, for instance, there was flooding or a late start to the meeting. You could put a notice saying late start, right? And then put the explanation like due to inclement weather, perhaps, right? So you can give an explanation as to why something is happening. And usually I would always recommend putting in the title like late start. You kind of want to capture the viewer's attention. Thereafter, hopefully they become inquisitive, and then as they look around, they can see the reason behind the late start. Okay. So here we have recurrent information. Not the biggest fan of this color scheme, but sort of obscure, but it does say monthly on the second Tuesday of every month. All right, it's indicating what the frequency of this meeting would be. All right. Start date, you always select that manually because those are arbitrary. They change often. So you like to make sure you can update that. Well, frankly, everything's updatable, but keep in mind, start date does have to be chosen. Start time, that's pulled in from the template. However, you can always modify this if you want to. Not a big deal. And then address is also pulled in from the template. All right. So once you select the date, these event listings are going to be created for you, right? And what these do is these help you create this event in bulk. So on the portal, rather than creating individual events, it saves you time to create them all within that same frequency, right? So these are all considered the second Tuesday of the month, right? And keep in mind, if one of these dates end up falling on a holiday or something has to be changed, it's not immutable. You can always come in here and update these because essentially each one of these is a card. So you can come into the card and update the event so it can reflect on the portal as needed. Okay. Anything unclear about the fields upon creating events for the public portal?
I have a question. This is Peggy. I see under the one-time events, you have city council only. Are there they're going to be one of these one-time events for other committees like planning commission and committees?
We can
Or no?
create them. Yeah, we can carve time and create them. Yeah. Is that something you want me to do?
Christine, you want to weigh in?
Let's not do it now.
Okay.
Okay. I'll put it in my notes and get it done. Not a big deal. Hold on, let me just 1 second. Pull my notes up. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Any other questions around the fields or any of these pieces of information upon creating an event? Okay. So we're going to create the event. Actually, no, we're actually going to create a one-time event. So if you have like an offset meeting, let's say like a closed session or executive session meeting, and you don't want to use the actual template, you can do this new one-time event, right? The only caveat is it wouldn't pull in any information because we don't have a template for it. Keep in mind, you can create templates for one-time events. I'll say hitherto, we don't have one. Although if you want to create one, that is feasible, okay? So here, it's going to leave that same name. Actually, I'm going to change this to agenda creation training. Right, I'm going to leave that late start. I'm going to put that notice back. I put late start to. All right. I'm going to keep the date and keep the time. I'm going to fill in an address. And a lot of times people put various information in at different times. I don't know what your preference would be. Some people like to take down the event and update the information. However, keep in mind, it updates in real time. So you don't have to unpublish it and then add the new information. Typically, I recommend just changing the information and saving it because in real time, it will update and reflect for the public. Okay. So I'm going to create this information so for a one-time event. So it doesn't create those bulk events, and it's only going to create one event. All right. Does that make sense? The disparity between a one-time event and those templates being used to create like a preponderance of them. Cool.
Yes.
I'm going to create this event. Once I create this, I'm going to go to the portal. All right. And now we see the information reflected here, right? The date, we see the time. Oh, the notice isn't on. Hold on, I'm going to go to your backend real quick. I want to see that notice. Should have been on. See the template. Okay. Here we go. Refresh that. Here we go. All right. So date, time, right? Then we have the name of the meeting, location. I don't live here anymore, so don't send any unkind mail, right? And then here we have that notice I put. All right. And then here goes that that category we selected. Just giving extra context behind the meeting. You can always update these as well. All right. Keep in mind this category is a filtering option on this portal. So once we update that information and add that event, we end up here. All right, so just reiterating the information already added. And once again, if you need to change something, you can always do it here and save those changes, okay? Publishing, if you need to publish an event in advance, you could always go ahead and use this publish on date. And what this will do is essentially, it'll give you the ability to publish anything in it on a date later than when you probably be available. So you may be out on Halloween, you probably want to go trick-or-treating. Who wants to miss out on good candy? You can always go ahead and put this on that date, and the system would publish this for you at midnight. All right. But keep in mind, right now, we're going to publish it immediately. And here we have external media URL. So if you ever have a recording on Facebook or YouTube or whatever platform it may be, you can add that URL here. Let's just use Google. Let's see if I can just use Google's URL. Right. So if I had Google, I put that URL here and I saved it. And then I went to the portal. I can refresh this and it will give me an icon indicating there's an external URL there. Right. So if I clicked into that, it would take me to that whatever URL I entered there. Okay. So here on this right-hand side, we have like a status bar. Not a lot of salient information here. I would say I'll say the most paramount information here would be this linked agenda, telling us, hey, there's no linked agenda here, right? So invariably, one of the most common questions I get in regards to events being published is they're not seeing any documentation behind it. So when you see this event, I click it, there's nothing published here, right? So there are no meeting files. However, I'll always come here first and see there's no linked agenda. So one thing you always want to confirm is that there is an agenda linked to the event. Therefore, you can publish that agenda to the event. Okay, but otherwise, there's a lot of this general information. If it's annoying, you can toggle this away. Not a big deal, but it is kind of good to know, right? If there's an agenda link. And if you want to update any of this information, there's an edit event button. You can always come up here and modify anything that you've created thus far. Anything you'd like to know more about events before we move forward?
Hi, this is Peggy again. So what was that portal website? How did you, is there a link under the little waffle thing to get directly to the portal, or?
Yes, good question. So it's in the user menu, Peggy. If you come to the user menu and then scroll to the bottom, the public portal right here. And it takes us here.
Oh, hold on now. I'm getting back to that page. User menu.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Of course. Anything else? Okay, move along. And go back to that tab we wish was called agendas, but called meetings. And we're gonna create an agenda, right? We're gonna create another new agenda. This time we're gonna call it agenda creation training. And let's see. Now, once again, this is not public facing, this is a file name. And agenda type, like I said, it's commensurate with board or meeting type, right? We're gonna choose a board type, cutoff date and cutoff time, just for giving the standard users, well, that's a misnomer, not giving standard users the access to get into the agenda so you all can hunker down, right, and get these published on time. And rather than doing a new one-time event, this time we're gonna click existing, we're gonna link it to an existing event. Ooh, got myself tied up there. All right, so we only have one created thus far, right? That's not linked, being that agenda creation training, right? So we'll choose that. And now we're gonna create this agenda. So once we create this agenda, keep in mind, simultaneously, as I create this, it's gonna automatically link this to that event, all right? So it's like putting the person in the house, I'm giving you the key, but I still have to let you in. So I have to publish the agenda still. But now I have the ability to publish it because it's being linked to that event, all right? Is there any confusion around that concept of linking this agenda to the existing event?
No, there isn't, but I see the two buttons there. What the green create agenda is to add it to the event. The create and add new, is that if you hadn't created an event yet?
Well, what this would do is it will create an agenda and then create another agenda. So you can create this agenda and then it will give me the ability to create another agenda.
Oh, okay, got it.
Mhm.
Okay,
We'll create the agenda. So once we create the agenda, it'll take us to the line items of the template. Okay. So here we have a couple of options. First, we want to add a section. So let's add a section real quick. All right. While we're here, we're going to go to create button and add a section. I'm just going to call it new section. And oh, that's a misspelling. My live spelling is underwhelming. So just brace yourselves. Okay. Section name, I was adding a section. This is basically the section itself. And then below that, you can add an excerpt. You know, when you have like a consent agenda, you have that short blurb directly below it. Here's where you would enter that if you're adding a new section that requires that excerpt. All right. So I'll go ahead and create this section. And once I create that, it'll go straight to the bottom. Right. So once I have a new section added, I know where it is. And I want to reorder that. So I'm going to use this button called reorder. And it's going to give me the ability to move where it currently is to where I need it to be. All right. So once I get this page to load, there we go. And you'll notice that page has kind of changed. You'll see these two lines, right? You'll see these waffle-like icon in the left side of the page. And now it's a hand. So when you see the yellow silhouette, you know, you're moving, we're moving, we're moving. All right. And this item ordering convention is going to change once I save it. All right. So we'll update for me accordingly. And I'm going to go back to the agenda. Since we've added a new section, we're going to add a new item. Keep in mind, standard users will not have a section button they're only going to see an item button. All right, so we're going to add an item. And here, basically, with section of items, we're going to choose where to place the item. And it's just a drop down of the listing of the standing sections. And I'm going to choose new sections. So we just added that. Here we have agenda item name. I'm just going to put the item itself, right? I'm going to put new item. I'm going to put a new item under a new section. And I have to choose a category, right? So just choose a category. And these categories tied to reporting purposes, just dropping this item kind of in a bucket, right? So it can be classified. Also, there are various names tied in an item approval workflow in correspondence with these categories. So it is important to choose the correct category when adding an item. Okay. Attachment upload. You can upload attachments, right? Be it video, audio. This is probably funny. Check this out. I'm going to add this attachment, and when you add an attachment, basically you can do show link on portal or not show the link on the portal. By default, it's going to show, but if you click no, the attachment will still be present on the item. However, it won't be visible on the portal. Okay. Non-confidential, just saying it's going to be visible to everyone, so it's not going to be hidden. That's all it's really basically saying. So once you see this attachment, here's the file name, and here's the public-facing name if you want to update that as needed. Okay. So we've selected where to place the item, right? We chose that new section. And then we added the item itself. We've selected that category, which is required. And we just added a random attachment. Okay. Any questions as to how we're adding an item?
You didn't change the department, but I'm assuming you would. Is that right?
You can. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is not real. It's to make me feel
Mhm.
special. But I mean,
Uh-huh.
you can actually choose a real department if you want to. Okay. We'll create an item now. And once it's created, we're going to back out of here. I'm going to delve deeper into this during item creation training. I don't want us to get lost in the weeds, right? We're going to go, we can use these breadcrumbs, right? And if you ever get lost, there are breadcrumbs. We're in the meetings tab inside of an agenda, and this is the item we're on. All right, so we're going to navigate back to that agenda. All right, so at this ends, we've added a new section, and we've reordered it using this button. We added a new item. And we also notice that there's an attachment because we see this paperclip icon, right? This item has one attachment. I'm not the biggest fan of that grammar, but who am I, right? So, all right. Before we move forward, are there any questions behind how to add a section, reorder it, or add an item with an attachment needed? Okay. Keep in mind, these settings are always alterable. There's the edit agenda settings button as well. So the name you gave it can be changed. That event that we linked it to can be modified, right? You can remove it or add it back, or go to the event itself, clicking view and update the event, right? It's meeting date and time. You can always update that if you want to. Cutoff date and time, always can be altered, right? This one we haven't reviewed, the agenda finalized. So one of the alerts in the system is agenda finalized. So you can always click yes and save those agenda settings. Thereafter, the system will send out an alert to whomever has that set up, and they would be notified that the agenda is finished. Okay. Agenda word design. More so from my reference, you can disregard this altogether. Okay. And this just confirms which board this agenda is for. All right. Delete, pretty straightforward, deleting the agenda. And here we have agenda unlock. So I will say this button is akin to the cutoff date and time. However, it's more immediate, right? So rather than waiting to the cutoff date and time, you may be finished with the agenda early and you don't want anyone to alter it. Well, you can come in and lock the agenda, therefore preventing access to it. And that'll be that, right? And only agenda managers will have access to it if you lock it. Okay.
I
Are
have
these
a
settings?
question.
Yeah.
I have a question. It might be a Christine and Peggy question, but okay, one, will we be responsible for creating our own templates for agendas? And then two, who else could I anticipate my agenda managers would be? Are we one of one for our committees?
For the time being, We are not moving the committees to the platform in January. It's going to be a couple months out. Only Planning Commission and Council are moving in January.
Roger. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, move right along. Now we're gonna actually publish the agenda. Right, so we're gonna go to this drop down. Actually, we're gonna go to agenda fields real quick. Agenda field is an area where anywhere I place placeholder codes inside of the agenda, we call them agenda custom text. But anywhere we have those placed within this documents, you can modify this information, and it would only modify the information for this agenda. Okay, so the template would remain in place. However, whatever you update here is what would be reflected on this document. Okay, those agenda fields basically just helps you curate these documents for this specific instance, as opposed to modifying the template itself. So everything here, you can click into it and modify as you need to, right? Any questions around these agenda fields? Pretty clear concept, I would think. All right, move along. So publish the agenda. We're gonna go to agenda files, right? And here we have create and upload. We have 0, so we know there aren't any documents here. We're gonna go to this create and upload button. Keep in mind, you have to choose what file you want to create. So we're going to create the agenda first, be it that it's the crux of the packet. We always want to create that first. I'm going to call it something real interesting, creative, right? Agenda 1, 2, 3. And then after I create the agenda, I now have some files here. So now I can create the packet. I'm going to go to create and upload, and now I'm going to create the packet this time around. So we're going to choose agenda packet. All right, I'm going to call this one. That's that misspelled packet. Shame on me. Look at that. Let me stop trying to show off. I'm gonna slow down. There we go. See? Okay. I'm gonna give it a name, and then agenda packet. There's only one packet. There's only one agenda to choose from, right? I only have one agenda file. Therefore, that's what I'm gonna select. And then here's asking me, do I want to regenerate an agenda item report? All right. So for you, that would probably be the agenda bill. This is just our nomenclature in the system. However, it's gonna be referencing that in the event within this agenda, if you uploaded or created an agenda bill, would you want that regenerated or to be reflected within the packet? All right, so if you did, you would keep this checked, and if not, you would simply uncheck that. All right, and this is that attachment I added. It's gonna ask, do I want to include non-confidential attachments? I've only added one, and I do want to keep it. So I'm gonna keep that checked. All right, so once I create that file, it'll work on creating a packet, and I always have the ability to download these if I need to. So these are PDFs and Word files. This is kind of superfluous. I've never seen anyone use this, but it's here. All right, if you're into HTML files, that might be your thing. But if you want to modify one of these documents, you could always download one of these and then alter it on your device and then re-upload it, right? Come here and then click this upload button, give the file a name. If it doesn't drop it to one of these buckets, call it other. It's not a big deal, right? But giving you the ability to upload the documents from your device, be it that we may not have formatting tools that suffice with what you have in mind. So want to increase your flexibility within the system. Yeah. So here's confirmed we have an agenda packet and an agenda, right? So now we want to publish them. So we'll come to this publish area and we'll click the publish button, and there's 2 portals. All right, we have the public portal, which we've been in today, and there's also a private portal, it's the board portal. All right, so you want to be cognizant when choosing where we're publishing documents. All right. Also, be vigilant. Each row is designated for a specific file type. Okay. So the first one's only agendas. We only have one agenda file, that agenda 1, 2, 3. That's what we're publishing here. And here we have packet to publish. Only one packet, so we'll publish that, right? And here we also have 2 options akin to the events. You can publish on a date that's far out, right? We'd use the publish on date feature, and we can do it on, once again, Halloween. We don't miss out on that good candy. And you may not be in office, but you need this to be published, right? So you click that date, and then what'll happen is the system will publish this agenda for you at midnight. Okay. However, today we're just publishing immediately. So we'll choose this middle option. And here it says send email notifications. So this is referencing any subscriber list that we would have set up, which at this point aren't set up. Nevertheless, going forward, if we do want to set those up, those would be just alerts sent out to various members of the community whose email addresses we have obtained, and we would let them be alerted as to when these documents are published. Okay. So right now we're going to keep that at no, and we'll do the same thing for the packets, right? We're going to publish both of them, and say no to notifications, and then we're going to publish this right now, right? So once I click this publish button, it's now says success. The request was processed successfully. So I know it's on the public portal because this is being delineated here. It's telling me which portal it's present on. All right, so if I go to the public portal right now and I refresh this, I should have some more icons appear for me. Right, so now I have the megaphone indicating what time the agenda was published, and I also have this download icon letting me know there's an agenda alongside a packet waiting for me. So if I enter this grid, if I click the grid anywhere, I now have access to the agenda, and I know this is the one. So I add a new section and new item, and then I have the, what is this? Oh, it's funny. I had this attachment I added, right? So anytime you add attachments or reports, keep in mind, it's always going to show you them in the order they've been added. So at any point, if you want to see the order of items, I think next week I'm going to go more into how you can view items before they're posted. But at the end of the day, they're going to display the order in which you displayed them, but you can always modify that as well. So I'm going to delve deeper into how you can change the way these are ordered in next week's training. So once you do that, you may have people who don't want to go to the portal, right? I know some people who are just not interested in learning technology, but they are interested in the documents, right? Therefore, an alternative would be to send it in the file from here, right? And this is also within your team. Sometimes you may want to send an entire agenda so it can be reviewed amongst your team. So you can set up email lists or just choose users from within the site, right? Or also you can use external email addresses, okay? And similar to a regular email, we'd give it a subject, right? Give it a basic synopsis of what it is, and then here detail what the actual document is, and then choose which document it is accordingly, right? We haven't done any minutes, so there aren't any minutes available, although we did create a packet, right, that 1, 2, 3, and we also created an agenda 1, 2, 3, right? So once you click send, it'll send, the recipient will receive this document as a PDF attachment.
Michael, quick question for you.
Quick answer, hopefully.
Some of our agenda packets are quite large, and I'm currently not able to email them because they're too big. Is there a size limit in this send function to where I'd have to refer people to the website to be able to download it rather than upload it in an email attachment?
Good question. I'm not going to give you an erroneous answer. I've typed it in my notes, and I will get back with you when I obtain that for you.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a quick question too about the auto send feature that you talked about. You said that if you put a date in it to send it at a future date, did you say it sends it at midnight?
Correct.
So you can't set a time, but just a date?
We aren't that cool yet. No, Peggy. I'm that level yet.
Okay.
That's a great suggestion, though.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay. So I'm going to go through this drop down. We're going to check out some other features I like, especially this agenda attachment feature. So agenda attachments basically gives you access to all the attachments. Basically, this is an aggregation of any attachments that have been added anywhere on the agenda, right? Had there been a variety of attachments added throughout the items on the agenda, you would see them all compiled here, right? And what you would do is you can access the item or the attachment on that item here. And one thing I do like as well is I can take it off the portal, right? So right now I have it on the portal. I can remove the actual file from the portal, and the file is still present on the agenda. It's just not currently being displayed, right? And then I can put it right back, right? And then at any point, it can be reviewed again. Okay, so anything you think you may have put in there and you don't want it to be visible, you can always remove that from the portal if needed. Okay. And here you can also determine whether whenever you create the minutes document, it'll be available. So in this actions button, right, you can also always see, okay, there's no minutes being displayed, or rather this item attachment has been slated to be viewed during the minutes. So we can go back to the attachment itself and then have it configured to display whenever you display minutes as well. Okay. see, agenda timeline. Pretty straightforward. Just kind of give you transparency on everything being done on the agenda, by whom and at what time, right? So not a lot of functionality behind it, just more visibility, if anything. And last but not least, agenda preview. Just giving you the ability to preview the agenda as you're working on it. Every time you add something, you kind of want to know how it's coming across. So it's great to use the agenda preview button to ensure that things look the way you want them to. All right, so if we go back to the actual agenda itself, you'll notice now 2 tags have been added, right? These 2 public tags indicating that this agenda file alongside this agenda packet are now presently published to the public portal. All right. Had they been on the board portal, adjacent to this, you would see a purple tag saying board. Any questions? No? All right. Well, today I really
I actually
Sorry,
do.
I have actually a
have-
question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you went through the very beginning where you were posting, or publishing the agenda. I
Yeah.
missed how you actually got to started that process.
do it again. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the dashboard and go to that tab I was complaining about in secret, right? Go to this agenda, and then we go to this drop down. It's called view, right? Then we're gonna go to agenda files.
Okay.
Once we come here, we end up here, and then we want to create that file.
Oh, got it.
Once we create the file, we just choose that file, that being the agenda, and then the packet, and then we publish them.
Okay.
You see me walk through it again, or are you cool at this point?
Yeah, no, I didn't get to this page.
Uh-huh.
I have
Megan?
a question about the board portal, I think you called it. Is that something like that the commissioners or like the council people would have access to on their own accounts?
Correct. So you have to, whomever's the agenda managers on this team have to grant access to those users to be able to enter that portal. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Another quick question for you. On the left-hand side in the purple menu, you have meetings and events. Can you just kind of explain what the difference is between meetings and events and when you would use each one?
Yes, of course. So meetings is basically where all the agendas are stored and where you would create an agenda itself.
Okay.
All right. And events is more so it's the meeting. So I think that's why I just in jest I always say I wish this was called meetings and this was called agendas, because it would be more intuitive. Because the
Mhm.
events are what we see on the public portal. Those are the meetings themselves, but it's kind of like I'm letting you know the date, time, location, things of that nature, information about the meeting. But the content of the meeting is actually stored within this meetings tab, where we create the agendas and we also host them as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So thus far, we've went over how to create events. We've went over how to create agendas, how to link events to agendas or create them simultaneously. Also, we've discussed how to publish an agenda to the public portal. So with that in place, I want to ask everyone, is there anything you'd like me to further expound upon or something you'd like me to recap for further clarity? No? Okay. Stop recording. I've been babbling long enough. Stop recording.